Breaking tonight, we have exclusive new details on a major investigation into terrorists recruiting American citizens. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. We told you on Friday about this man from Minnesota, Omar Jamal, accused by leaders of a local mosque of spreading radical Islamic beliefs to some local youths. Jamal was asked to leave the mosque, but faces no charges yet that we can identify. However, reports are now emerging that the Muslim Youth Center from which he was removed is now at the heart of a federal grand jury investigation. Up to 30 Somali Americans, all of whom frequented the Al Farouk Youth and Family Center, are reportedly believed to have joined or tried to join terrorist groups overseas. Over the weekend, the Kelly File went to Minnesota and tried to speak with anyone at the Al Farouk Mosque about Jamal and the terror recruiting.
I'm with the Kelly File with Megyn Kelly. Okay. We'd like to speak to someone here about recent reports and a man named Omar Jamal.
You can come back on Monday.
No, we'd like to speak to someone now. They spoke to the Star Tribune last night, and they're speaking to other media. I think they can speak to us.
Come back at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock today?
Yeah, come back 10 o'clock.
Is there no one available here that can speak to us now? Sir?
They were not in a talking mood, but the FBI was. We just got off the phone with the feds. We have exclusive new information on the people attending this mosque who are now believed to have signed on to the terror army known as ISIS. Trace Gallagher reports live in a special Kelly File investigation tonight. Trace?
And Megyn, the FBI says the social media campaign by ISIS is having some effect on young people, but that someone on the ground is convincing them to join the fight in Syria and then giving them the money to get there. Earlier this summer, a Somali-American father dropped his 19-year-old son off at school in the morning. A few hours later, the FBI found him at the Minneapolis airport about to board a flight for Syria. Another young Minneapolis man, Abdi Mohammed Nur, is already believed to be fighting in Syria. And this summer, a 19-year-old Somali-American woman went missing for a few days, then called her family to say she was taking care of wounded fighters in Syria. A common link between young people being recruited is that many attended the Al Farouk Youth Center and had contact with 31-year-old Omar Jamal, an alleged former member of al-Qaeda accused of spreading radical Islamic ideology. In June, after the director of Al Farouk Mosque got a tip from a young member about Jamal's teachings, he then got a no trespass order against Jamal. And within days, Omar Jamal had sold his home and left the area. His whereabouts are still unknown. The FBI, who once held Jamal in Kenya for nearly 4 months, won't comment about his involvement. But Jamal himself has now issued a statement through the ACLU saying, quoting here, "I am saddened by the mosque director's accusations, which are baseless. I have been trying to live my life normally like any other citizen, but it is very difficult when people may see me as suspicious because of the government's past allegations and its refusal to make amends for treating me so badly." As you saw earlier, those involved in the mosque are not happy about speaking with the Kelly File, but those who live near the mosque are quite concerned. Listen.
I feel threatened by it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I make sure I lock my doors and windows. Otherwise, we're pretty casual lifestyle in the Twin Cities, but something like that goes around, it makes you think.
The Somali American community in the Twin Cities has long had a strained relationship with authorities there, but now some in that community are urging families to speak publicly to stop more of their children from being recruited. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. One man in this Bloomington, Minnesota community has been warning about this kind of terror recruitment for years. He knew one of the men recruited by ISIS who just died in Iraq fighting for the terror group. Omar Jamal is a Minnesota activist and director of the American Friends of Somalia. Omar, thank you very much for coming to New York and being here with us live tonight. So a federal grand jury is now looking into who is recruiting these young people, and they seem to be centering on this Al Farouk Mosque. How concerned should we be about this place?
I think this is a very serious issue, and everybody should be concerned about it. And not to mention that this has been going on for the last 10 to 15 years. The feds haven't been able to bring this to an end by going after who's doing this, who's the person who's recruiting this.
Who's in the mosque recruiting young Americans to go fight?
And the thing is, whoever's doing this, it remains to be the same, only the kids are changing, because 10 years ago there was a brand new kids, now there are new groups 5 years from now, but the guy at the top stays the same. So who's this guy who's doing this?
The mosque on Friday purported to be a hero in all of this, saying this guy, Mashal, we found him suspicious. We heard talk of radical Islamist, jihadist ideology, and we called the authorities and got a no trespass order against him.
Correct.
So are we to believe that they are on the side of the angels or not?
I will hold my opinion. I think I will wait until the first Fed's investigation comes into light, because I don't think that Amir Mashal was there. He was playing basketball. We don't know who he is. We don't know where he came from. And the question we have right now, was he trespassed before or after parents spoke out about the situation? When did the trespassing take place?
In other words, onto the mosque property.
Because the mosque property.
Because that's the allegation. Our viewers should know that others believe the mosque only turned him in and got the no trespass order because they believed the feds were zeroing in on him. There was a grand jury investigation underway, and they wanted to look clean, even though some believe they were not.
Exactly. And this is a very serious investigation. I don't want the community to come out and do something to jeopardize this process.
How many potential recruits do you think we're looking at here, Omar? Because we look at this situation and say, how many Americans would possibly consider going to fight from ISIS?
Well, we're talking about since 2007 up until now, closely, if not more than 40, both male and female, have gone back to either to Al-Shabaab or
Al-Shabaab, which is an Al-Qaeda affiliate.
Or ISIS.
What is it about this area that keeps producing these ISIS sympathizers?
Is it because I think a sheer concentration of the youth over there, and this is an ideology of war? ISIS and Al-Shabaab somehow managed to put up an image that they are the ones who are righting wrongs, this beautiful picture that they will regain respect, and it is working for them. They have somehow their propaganda machine is very effective here. We don't have a counter strategy to fight against their propaganda machine. We lack that. Theirs is very effective.
And I know you believe that the group CARE is part of the problem.
Yes, CARE, by their tactics and politically correct language, are also confusing the young kids. They call me anti-Muslim simply because I disagree with them. And I'm completely...
They do that to everybody. Don't worry. Don't worry, Omar. You're not alone in that. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you, May.
Joining us now with more, Seth Jones, an advisor to the Commanding General of U.S. Special Operations Forces, including for the missions in Iraq and Afghanistan. Mr. Jones works at the International Security and Defense Policy Center at the RAND Corporation. Seth, good to see you tonight. And so it appears that we have a mosque in the heart of Minnesota that is now being investigated by a federal grand jury. And the question tonight is, what, if anything, could be done to stop recruitment efforts at such a place if indeed they are underway?
Well, Megan, the interesting thing about mosques in the United States, including this particular one, is they are not now the only place where individuals are radicalizing. In fact, what we're seeing in a number of places, including Minneapolis, is that people are actually recruiting outside of the mosques. The mosques, in some cases, are not radical enough. I mean, we've seen that a little bit with the Amir Mashal case, where he was asked to stay off the grounds. And so what we're seeing,
I think, there's a question about whether the mosque did that because it genuinely wanted to stop this alleged talk of radical jihad, or because it knew it was under investigation.
Well, that's true, and that's a good point. But what I would say, the vast majority of jihadists in the United States, those that have radicalized, have had serious concerns about mosques in general. We saw this even in with the Boston bombings in 2013. They left the mosque area and were radicalizing outside of the mosque for two reasons. One is most mosques are considered too liberal. And second of all, there's a recognition that mosques in general are likely penetrated by law enforcement agencies.
Let me ask you this about this Amir Mashal, because it was extraordinary that the Kelly file received a statement from him through the ACLU, which is representing him. And so the viewers know this guy was over in Somalia. He was in Kenya. He claims that he was interrogated by the U.S. government repeatedly, up to 30 times, suspected of participating in jihad, or at least sympathetic to the cause. And then the ACLU sued on his behalf once he got back to the United States, saying, you had no business doing that to him. He was an American citizen. You never brought charges. And so we reached out to him tonight, and he basically expresses his sadness, saying these are just accusations. They're baseless. I've been trying to live my life like any other citizen, but that is very difficult when people may see me as suspicious because of the government's past allegations and its refusal to make amends for mistreating me so badly. Is this man at the heart of the recruiting drive? Is this perhaps a double agent, as some have alleged? What are we to believe?
Well, first, it's worth pointing out that a federal court dismissed the ACLU case earlier this year, and that's worth putting on the table. Second, I think it's also worth noting that in Minneapolis, within the Somali community, there has been an effort underway over the last few years to get away from individuals being the primary source for recruitment of young jihadists to either Somalia to fight with al-Shabaab, which is the historical precedent, or more recently to go fight with ISIS. And there's been a shift towards the radicalization online. And my understanding, in talking to multiple sources in Minneapolis today, is the online jihadist forums, the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter have become critical sources. So there does appear to be a movement away in Minneapolis of individuals like Amir Mashal towards the online radicalization.
So dangerous. Seth, thank you.
Thank you.
In moments, Judge Napolitano will have a lot more on exactly what the ACLU is doing in this matter. And later, our exclusive interview with the man who believes America got what it deserved on 9/11, a man who has refused to speak to Fox News for years, and a man who is still helping mold the thinking of students across this country. Don't miss this. How could you draw a moral equivalence between 3,000 dead Americans and a murderous Nazi like Adolf Eichmann?